Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast after another disappointing result and performance from the Reds at Anfield. At least we didn't lose this time now, but only because of the unassuming hero that is Federico Chiesa. What a man. Sunderland were good value for a draw and actually came closest to winning it. Most of the lads missed the game as a virus was running through the TLW camp like an opposing striker slicing through our defence. Me and John G were there, but the rest of the boys had to suffer through the 90 minutes watching from home. I'm Dave Usher, editor at liverpoolway.co.uk, and I'm joined for this by two of those absentees from last night, Paul Natton and Julian Richards. Alright Paul, it's been a little while since you've been on. I know you've been chomping at the bit to get on, and you've even taken notes for this one, I believe, so the floor's yours, take it away.
Yeah, I've got my Barry White voice on today, mate. I've got some horrible fucking virus thing and I feel like shit, so I'm not in the best of moods, but yeah, I did want to, I haven't been on for a while, I did want to contribute and say my piece. I think I think my views on where things are going have been clear for a while. Done a couple of pods recently in the last few months where it was clear I was alarmed at the direction of the club under Slot. Just so many problems. I think Chelsea was the one where it really came to head, where it was just clear to me that there was absolute gulf or abyss of tactical understanding from the players. Players have got no idea what they're supposed to be doing, absolutely clueless, and for me it lies at the manager's door. This is the worst crisis on the football pitch of my life supporting Liverpool. There's definitely been times where we've been more abject. There's definitely been times where we played remarkably even worse football than this. But for me, it's the fact that we're defending champions. I mean, just let that sink in a minute. We are defending champions and we look utterly supine. It's humiliating what's happened. We've spent nearly £500 million on undeniably high quality players. No one at the time, Liverpool fans or the wider football community, questioned any of those signings in terms of their quality. People had questions about whether we needed some of those players, but no one was saying they're not good players or that they're not costing market value. But for me, we've got absolutely no idea how to use those players at all. I mean, that is wild. That is wild. There are huge question marks over the strategic direction of the club, given the outlay and the just complete lack of I'm impact whatsoever on the pitch. Well, in fact, there has been an impact. It's taken us backwards. I am going to say this, excuse me, and I don't say it lightly, and I don't say it with any malice or any ill will, but this manager is absolutely finished for me. He needs to go as soon as is practical. I don't bear him any ill will, and I don't take any pleasure in saying it. But there is no way in the world he is turning this absolute shit show around. The roots of this extend way back into last season. I mean, in some ways, one of the most stark things, the drop in tempo, that was clear right from the word go. I mean, me and Brownie talked on the Arsenal pod early last season about how we were alarmed by the lack of tempo. But basically, all these issues have been slowly but surely creeping up on us since the day Slot walked in. Now, people quite rightly point to the league title. There is no way to diminish a league title. A league title is a league title. And last season, it was remarkable what was achieved. I'm not even going to get into explaining how you balance me saying this manager has to go with him having won the league. I can't explain it. I can't explain how he achieves that last season and delivers this season. But all I would say is that there is no way this is being turned around. No one knows what they're supposed to be doing. Players are just absolutely bewildered. The lack of intensity, the lack of cohesion amongst that team is alarming, absolutely alarming. There's always a reluctance as Liverpool fans to call for the manager to lose the job, and I think that's probably right. The culture of our club has always revered the manager. But for me, there are times when things are just so stark that we have to act. And this is one of those times. Because if you leave this manager in his job simply because that's the way we do things as a club, I mean, for me, you're just on the path to absolute disaster this season. Any cold-eyed assessment of what's going on the pitch for Liverpool right now points to a manager who's got no control whatsoever and is completely unable to do anything to turn things around. You could argue that he limps on to the January window, and then we sign a centre-half, we sign a combative midfielder, we sign Semenyo. But when you look at what he's done with what he's been given so far, I just say again, going on £500 million, I think it's 430 million, going on £500 million. Why the hell would we trust him to do anything with any more players? I think, this idea that we have to be resolutely behind the manager. By the way, I'm not calling him out and not calling him any names. I won't be yelling at him when I'm at Anfield. I won't be screaming, I won't be booing, I won't be doing any shit like that. But the fact is, for me, he's got to go. And anything that we do to prolong that will just lead to more and more trouble. What's happened at Anfield? It's an absolute disgrace. That should be a sackable offence on its own. How can the defending champions be humiliated by a team in 19th, as it was a couple of weeks ago when Forest came to us, and then a promoted team in Sunderland coming there and giving us lessons in how to play with passion, with energy, with intensity? I mean, what we saw last night in that regard, not particularly new, but I think it was a new low in terms of how poor we were. It blows my mind that there are fans who are prepared to lash out at individual players, new and old, some of whom have got absolutely unimpeachable all-time records at the club, legendary players. They're prepared to lash out at them, but they're not prepared to be critical of a manager or to say that his time's come. Listen, it doesn't make him a bad human being, it doesn't make him the worst person in the world, but he is absolutely out of his depth at this point, regardless of what he did before. This is not being turned around. So I don't. Anything we do to prolong this agony is just going to lead to more pain. That obviously leads to the next question: what do we do next? And I have to be honest with you, I haven't got a clue. I don't know what's possible. I'm not in conversations with the agents of various managers. What I do know is, with Liverpool Football Club, there will be a list as long as your arm of people who would give their own arm to get that job. I would also remind people that Jurgen Klopp came in. People say, what's a new manager going to do? Jurgen Klopp came in mid-season with a very poor squad and instantly effected change. He raised the tempo, he brought a collectivism together in that squad, and there was a culture reset immediately. We're in that sort of territory now, albeit with a much, much, much more talented squad, with a record of winning which is unsurpassed really, apart from outside of Manchester City in this country. So we need to make a change, we need to make it fast. I saw what Leeds did to Chelsea last night on Match of the Day. God help us when we go there at the weekend. I just think this carries on, the humiliation is going to get worse and worse and worse, and let's have it right, we are being humiliated with the league champions, the defending champions. We look absolutely pathetic, and accountability says that the person in charge needs to go. That's it.
So I feel like we're in Parliament here, Jules, and we should be going, yeah.
I was going to thank Paul for letting me come to his TED talk.
Oh, my chest can't take that, boys.
Jules, do you want to talk about the game?
Are you not going to come back?
No, I have. I've taken notes while you were talking. I've taken notes, and I will come back on a couple of points. But Jules has been on recently, and he's spoken about the overall picture, whereas you hadn't. So that's why I wanted to let you get that off your chest. But I'm sure Jules agrees with most of what you said there, if not all of it. But I just want to get his take on last night in particular, and then we'll come back to it.
Nice one.
couple of points. That's the only thing that I'll be getting off Paul's chest by the sounds of that cough laugh thing he had there. And then second of all, when you said Parliament, I thought, oh no, do you want me to be the opposition and offer a riposte? Because I don't think I can do that. And then Dan's going to be furious that there's going to be order and stuff like that, and he's not involved.
Dan's
anyway,
missed his big moment.
But in tribute to Dan, I will actually try and answer your question rather than walk around it about the game. Yeah, it wasn't a good game. It's more of the same. Like, unfortunately, at the moment, it's just rinse and repeat with the performances because they aren't really changing. They only change based on how bad the opposition is versus us.
Good point.
And like we saw that at West Ham. We saw that at West Ham on Sunday. Like they were bad, so the performance looked a little bit better. Sunderland played last night with a bit of energy. They had a clear tactical plan. They had players willing to do the job, and we were back to looking poor again. They are very much the opposite of what we are at the moment, which is lacking a clear identity and plan. I wasn't surprised when Sunderland. I mean, look, to be fair, I came away with being quite impressed with Sunderland. Like, fair play to them. They came to Anfield. Yes, we are bad at the moment, but we are the defending champions. Anfield has for the last decade been a place of fear for most clubs, but they came with no fear. They played their game, and I think they deserved probably at least a point from it. They deserved to go ahead in the game. They were hanging on a little bit at the end, but not. It wasn't like the Alamo or anything. They weren't getting bombarded because we are a team unable to create clear-cut chances constantly. There's a lot of C's there. I never feel like we're peppering goals. Or like, oh, the goal's coming, as it did in the past when we would start to lay siege to a goal. Now it's sort of like it's like a military that sort of hasn't got a frontline army, so is using artillery to shell the other army, but the artillery isn't very accurate. So it's just like, well, we're just going to fire stuff over there, and maybe some of it'll land, and maybe some of it won't. But we'll just fire in and see what happens. It goes, as I've said before, it goes east to west. And then it goes, we'll sling a cross in to nobody in particular. It always baffles me with crosses. Why don't footballers, like, I know they take a look up. I've seen them take a look up at what's happening in the penalty area. Even if they're taking a shot, they're going through on goal. They have a little look to see where the goalkeeper is. So I know they can do it. But why is it when crosses come in, it just seems to be, well, I'm just going to sling this in and we'll see what happens. It never seems to be. It must be because, like, if Isak, for example, is taking up a position on the far post, why then put that into the middle of the 6-yard box? Why is it going there? Why is there no? You're elite level footballers. I know you're good at kicking a ball with precision. So why is this happening? And it's just the sort of malaise that's like over the team at the moment. Good that we got back into it, I suppose. I mean, I can't. People are gonna I apologize if people are going to be listening to this looking for positives and like, what can we take from this? I took nothing from the West Ham game. I take nothing from this. There are problems. There are massive problems. They aren't going away, and a rare decent performance by a player here or a win there is not going to do it. I would need to see sustained improvement in performances. Forget about results, performances, where I could see a coherent tactical plan that was at least going to penetrate the opposition and make them think about us rather than just like, well, we can just hold them at arm's length like with a fucking Heisman trophy, just give everybody the stiff arm and it's not going to be a problem. I need to see that for months on end before I would go, yeah, there's something here. There isn't anything here at the moment. It just does look like the manager doesn't know how to get a tune out of this squad. And like I've said it in the chat, and again, I know people are going to be like huffy about this, and fine, it's my opinion. It's not. You don't have to like it, and you don't have to agree with it. It's all fine. We're all adults here. But like I said it last year in the chat, I don't think I said it on the pod, but it felt to me like the further we got away from Klopp and the coaching methods that he had, the worse we were getting. And it just feels like that's just being borne out. The more that we are being turned into what the current manager wants, the worse it's getting. We're losing 100%. The identity that made us good. We're like there's no intensity. Like I sometimes gently poke fun at Paul and his five P's, which are just five things I've made up for alliteration. But like, well, some of it is I have pace, power, and passion, pride, and all that nonsense like that. But like, it is actually a point that there is no intensity or aggression in the team, and we saw it again last night. It's just very, very safe, and like, I don't know, like even how can you be defensive, which we were a little bit last night, as in like everyone's dropping back into banks of 3 or 4-3, 4-4, and
Seven
yet
at the back at one stage.
somehow Sunderland are getting free shots at goal from 25 yards. Like, wait a minute, I don't understand. If you're all in banks, you should be able to. There should be someone putting the block in. There's no one closing down. There's no one putting blocks in half the time. There are gaps everywhere. There's like, what's the tactical instruction here that you drop it into these banks, but then the gaps open up everywhere when they've got the ball. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up. And this very much reminds me of 15-16. I've definitely said this before. This is like the year after Rodgers didn't win the league vibes for me, where there are players, there are square pegs and round holes. He's flailing around for a tactical advantage that he can't find, and when he does seem to get one, it doesn't seem to be built on it. It's the old, was it biblical parable of like, stony ground, sandy ground, the house built on sandy ground. It just feels like it's not safe. It doesn't feel like it's a concrete plan on concrete foundations. It feels like it's a sandcastle near the tide, and eventually the tide will come and get it, and it'll just knock it over again. And again last night, I don't feel like, West Ham, I didn't feel like anything there, like, oh, he's dropped Salah. Like, Mo Salah's not the problem here. He is a problem. He's not the problem. But, like, dropping Salah and we win at West Ham, like, oh, there you go, look, that's a plan. No, that's Lazar Markovic at right wing back plan. That's not a plan. That's not a solution you found there against one of the worst team. Maybe Wolves are worse. This one of the worst two teams in the league.
Easiest to play against.
That's not a plan.
Worst, I'd say.
Yeah, and then riddle me this.
Apart from us.
So we drop it. Well, yeah. You can also riddle me this. Why is it that we're playing that? We've got 7 games. We've got 7 days, 3 games. We've got to rotate. So the rotation was 1 last night, and then the players look knackered. So you've rotated one player, the left back, out, and that's it. You haven't rotated anybody else. You didn't think Ekitike maybe should have started last night. Look, I get it. If you drop Isaac, people are going to say, well, he scored. What are you dropping him for? I get it, but that's a problem you have because you bought both of those players. Because now Ekitike to me looks woefully out of form. So you need to get him firing again at some point.
In terms of that, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. But my point is, it's like, well, what are we going to see on Saturday? Are we going to, against Leeds? Are we going to see more of the same again? Like one tweak here. You've got this big squad, this costly squad, and yet you're still doing the same thing as last year, more or less, which is playing the same 13, 14 players and not trusting anybody else. You turned to Joe Gomez out of desperation. You didn't turn to him because you thought he was the ideal solution, because if he was, he'd have been in the team ages ago. And I also feel like that, like you're asking Joe Gomez to do a lot down that right hand. You're basically asking him to be like a Diet Coke version of
you
Trent,
put Joe Gomez in and took
fair.
Mo out, so he's having to do like 2 jobs.
Yeah, that's it. You're basically asking him to do Trent's job, but he's not like Trent, and that's not fair because who is? I mean, Trent's not even Trent at the moment. He keeps getting injured for Madrid. Like he's not having a great season over there. So I came away from last night just very dispirited. Like Wirtz is definitely whether we like it or not about how it's physicality or whatever, he's got it in terms of like footwork and creativity and cleverness. So you've spent so much money on him, you're going to have to make him work, and you're going to have to make him the fulcrum of the attacking part of the team. That's just the future of it. And again, it's because he's so his touches are so nice, are so pleasing on the eye that aesthetically you sort of like you warm to his style, whether he's actually getting involved or affecting the game a lot or not, because you see him playing, you're like, oh, that's nice, that's a good touch, that. And like last night, he almost scored. I mean, it's an own goal. It is an own goal because you can see that it's going to be slicing wide if it doesn't hit the defender. But that's the sort of thing, like you've got the skill to be able to dance around these players in the penalty area. Well, then do it, because you're either going to maybe open up a chance for somebody else, get a penalty, or that'll happen. Like buy the ticket and win the raffle, because at the moment we ain't buying no tickets. We're standing outside the place housing the raffle and sort of with our arms folded going, well, I'm not winning that, am I? No, you're not, because you're not even getting involved. So I can't really take any sort of comfort from last night. That's bad. Like Sunderland, for all their good points, and there's lots of good points, and I could, extol their virtues. They are a promoted team. They did come to Anfield. That's got to be a 3-point banker. It has to be if you're serious about being a very good, challenging football team. And we're not at the moment. We are, what's our record? 7-1-6, I think. Like that is the definition of a 50-50 team. Like that is
Zero
that is
goals.
not a
Man
good.
United, that is.
Yeah, that is. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll hand over to you there, Dave, on that point. This is a Manchester United team now.
It is. And anyone who, like, none of us, because we all said after West Ham, it means nothing. It's got to be done over a period of time. There's little things you can look at and think, okay, well, maybe that might be something to build on, but that game in itself told us nothing. And then we follow it up with that last night. So, yeah, again, we are exactly where we were before. Not, we're not any better just because we beat West Ham. We're just not. In terms of Sunderland, what you said about being impressed with them, Sunderland are exactly what I thought they were, because my brother-in-law's been telling me all season who they are, how they play, what the strengths are, and I seen all of it last night. Everything he said about them was there. They defend well, they fight for each other, they're well organised, they play nice little passing football when they've got the chance to do it. And the thing that he said about them, he said they're fearless, they'll never give up. And he said to me, he said, if we're drawing and it's late on, he said, we won't just not try and counter-attack. He said they will still believe that they can get a goal, and they almost did with that counter-attack, which we'll talk about later, because we need to talk about Chiesa. But Sunderland, they are what they are. They're punching well above the weight. They're better than anyone thought they were going to be. They deserve to be where they are in the table. I was impressed with them last night, taking nothing away from that at all. But it also shows, we're shit. And it's also, I'm at the point now, I mean, Paul's been saying this all along about, it's not the players, it's the manager. For a while, I would say, clearly issues with the manager. I never disputed any of that. I had plenty to say about that. But I was also pointing the finger at players. And at the time, I still feel it was justified. I'm at the point now, nothing that these players do now is going to have me pointing the finger at them, because it's gone way beyond that. It's especially the attacking players. Like, you all know my thoughts on Isak, and I didn't want us to sign him and everything. You will not get me saying anything criticising Isak, because this is not his fault. He had about fucking 5 touches last night. What are people expecting him to do with that kind of non-service? It's staggering when you watch it, how little our number 9 actually gets any service that he can do anything with. And then when you watch Newcastle play, everything is about getting the ball into the number 9. Now, I'm not saying that we should play like that, but I am saying we should play like that if we've just spent that much money on a fucking centre forward. I thought that was going to signal a change in what we were doing, and it hasn't. There's no change. And this is the other thing. Going back to your points, Paul, about the quality of the signings, and nobody was questioning that. That's all true. Nobody was questioning the quality of any of those players. Not even me, who I thought a Diaz replacement was more of a priority than bringing in Isak, and that would cause problems with Ekitike, all that stuff. But no one's questioning the actual quality of those players, and I'm still not. I've got no doubts about any of these players, other than maybe Frimpong, based on is he going to be a sick note? Is he going to be a little bit too small to be playing right back? Maybe so. But in terms of quality, no questions about any of them. These are all either world-class or potentially world-class players that we've brought in. And somehow, we look shit. And it's gone past the point as well about, we just need to bed in new players. This is just about that. Sunderland had about 7 new signings in that team last night. Sunderland rebuilt their team in the summer. And right from the start of the season, they've been good. So it doesn't take all of this time just to get people playing. It doesn't. And even if it does, you would see signs of improvement and things to build on. There's none of that. There's absolutely none of that at all. And the other point is, 18 months in now, pretty much, give or take a month or so, whatever, when you're this far into a manager's reign, the one thing that you can take from it, and the conclusion you can draw, when you see how a team is playing after 18 months, and I don't mean whether they're playing good or bad, I don't mean that, I mean like the style and what they're trying to do. That is what the manager wants. So this slow, sideways, boring, just horrible shit that we're seeing is not because of new players. It's not because of injuries. It's not because of any of that. It's because this is how he's coaching them to play. This is what he wants. So I think results will get better. I don't think they'll ever be like good again. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we're going to suddenly become like a really good team. But we're not going to be in crisis all the time like we are now. We will come out of this and we'll pick up some results. And then we'll have some... Yeah, we will. But we'll have some shit results and we'll have some decent results. None of that...
Not sure.
That just comes down to individual quality in the team. Going back to Man United... Every time you looked at Man United and thought, oh, these are going to lose today, the shit, they're going to lose. And then they pull out a win, and United fans are like, oh, we've got something to build on, we might be okay. And you're thinking, no, you haven't. We know exactly what's going to happen here. You're going to go and lose next week. And then they do. That's where we are now. So we will still get results, like United have still got results over these years. And we've got much better players than they've had, by the way. But that's the point. We will still get, like, wins here and there that'll ease a little bit of the pressure, and some people will kid themselves into thinking, oh, okay, you know, we might something to build on, we might get back on track. But it's the style. It's not about the results for me, because a lot of these games are just the same. The results might be different because results tend to get settled on fine margins. A deflected goal here, hitting the post there at one end, all this stuff where you can say, oh, if that had happened, the result's different and all that. Yeah, but the performance, it's the same sort of performance constantly, and that's the issue. Is this is the style of play that he wants. I can't be doing with that. I can't be watching this. It's depressing. You're watching it at Anfield and you're just sitting there and you're like, oh my God, you're just completely sucking the life out of the crowd here. Yeah. The crowd's wanting to get into it. They're wanting to support the team. They're wanting to get behind something, and there's fuck all to get behind. Like, that first half last night was just so fucking boring. It was dull. Nothing happened. Sunderland, we actually defended okay, to be fair, because I thought Sunderland looked lively, and we didn't really let them have much other than, you know, the shot that hits the bar. So it wasn't a defensive, like, shit show as we've seen recently. It wasn't that. But it's everything else. It's the intent. And, you know, you said about the players don't look like they know what to do, Paul. I actually disagree with that now. I think they do know what to do, and this is what they're being told to do. And that's the problem. Jesus. They're playing to instructions, and those instructions, I just think, like, the players hate this style of football as much as we do now. And I think we got a little peek behind the curtain last week with Curtis's interview, when if he was interviewed the day after, he wouldn't have said the stuff that he said, but it was heat of the moment. And you got, like, a little bit of the truth coming out there, and people can say what they want about, like, whether he should be saying that and he's not blameless, and I agree with all that. He's opened himself up to a lot of justified criticism with what he said, but when he was saying, we used to do this, we used to do that, we used to be horrible to play against, we used to press, and now we don't, well, why? That's not that the players have just decided to stop doing all that. This is how they're coached to play, and
definitely
it's horrible. It's horrible to watch. And
Dave, let me just come in on a couple of points you made there, if I can, please. The first one is, I hope you're right about what you said about picking up odd wins, but I think this crisis has taken on a life of its own, and I think that there's part of the comparison with Manchester United doesn't, in some ways it does stand up. I know exactly what you mean and why you're making it, but in another way, we're defending champions and we've spent nearly $500 million on players, so expectations are absolutely stellar. We're not on the back of 10 years of failure, rinse and repeat, which they were.
Oh, that's true.
When Amarin came in. The other thing is as well, just as you were talking, it strikes me that there are two things to be absolutely alarmed about in terms of Slot. I'm just reframing basically what we've both already said, but I think it's just coalesced in my mind in terms of why it's so alarming. The first one is how he wants us to play football. This slow, controlled, lacking in intensity shit. It's just not Liverpool-like. Excuse me. It does not suit us. It certainly doesn't suit Anfield. And you are absolutely right. That's what he wants. That's one reason why this season has been so abject. And we've seen the slow drip of that beginning last season. It's what Jules said. about the further we get away from Klopp, the worse we become. That is absolutely unequivocally true, and that was stark last night. But in some ways, that's separate to what I think is maybe, because that's a strategic decision about how he wants to play football. I don't think it fits our club, but it won the league last season when there was a cohesive way of playing and the players understood what was required of them and they were able to deliver it. There's enough quality, we won the league. Plain and simple. There's no way to equivocate about that. We're champions and deservedly so. However, when he comes to refresh the team, and I think everyone felt that was needed. People can argue about to what extent it should have been done, how quickly it should have been done, but certainly there had not been an investment in the team of the level required to stay at the top for a number of years. He was part of those conversations. There were clearly strategic decisions made about the sort of players that we wanted. Why then is it absolutely clear that he's just made no allowances for the type of players that he's bought in terms of how he sets them up on the pitch? Jules made a really good point earlier about Wirtz, his obvious quality. And Jules also alluded to the point that I think lots of us have seen, is his capacity to deal with the physicality of English football. For both of those reasons, you build the team around him, in my view. And therefore, you give him a load of minders behind him to give him the muscle that he needs to protect him and get him on the ball in the dangerous places. You give him options out wide for him to lay the ball out to, and you give him options in front. So I thought we'd seen a touch of this. I basically think we should play 4-3-1-2. So you play the three midfielders. Got questions about, but let's leave individuals out of it now. But Maka, Gravenberch, Dom, who are your muscle, your legs, your running, and all of that in midfield in front of the back four. You then got your fullbacks. We signed these attacking fullbacks. They're not progressive passers. We seem to be wanting to play with progressive passers when we've actually got ball carriers now, a fullback. You push them right on. That's where your width comes from. And then you play two in front of Wirtz. And your two are 2 from 4 of Cody, Ekitike, Isak and Mo. You're transitioning from a Mo Salah focused team to a Florian Wirtz focused team. Wirtz has to be the future by definition for the outlay, for his age, for Mo's age, etc. But we are also giving Mo going on 500 quid a week, whenever 500,000 a week when you factor in all the clauses and what have you. So we've got to continue to keep him involved. Get him closer to goal. Why are we leaving him isolated out there? It's quite clear in that position his legs aren't up to it anymore. What he can do is he knows where the goal is when he's closer to it. He can still work a shot in the middle of nowhere. His touch is still sensational. We know from his years with Bobby and Sadio that he loves those little quick interchanges in the box. Get him in there. He won't play every week. He might come on every week or start one week, but you've got to find a medium between the old team and the new team. And Slot doesn't seem to have done that at all. And what I find bizarre is that he doesn't seem to have a single clue how to do it. Now, I've just described something which is probably anyone who's a coach or a tactician will probably say very simplistic. I mean, not 6 months ago, people were saying, you don't play with 2 up front. Leeds played with 2 up front and beat Chelsea last night. There's no absolutes in football, tactics or formations. We're going through this period of change. You've got to be bold. He who dares, both in terms of how you play and how you set up. But at the moment, Slot is the complete opposite of that. There is no... He's just so risk averse.
Hey, Paul.
He's got it all. He's got nothing to lose. Go for it. Sorry, Jules, come on.
No, you say he who dares. Slot on the touchline is he who stays.
Oh, God.
He does nothing. He just stays.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? And that's where I can get into.
To be fair to him, he does occasionally look at the old iPad when things have gone wrong. Yeah.
Oh, you see, this is where I could, if I gave in to my anger, this is where I could start ranting about him. And I just don't think that's fair. But I do find that hugely frustrating. Hugely frustrating. You know, the idea that players, you don't need to rant and rave, but at least show something. At least give them some instructions. At least be animated. You know, if at the very least, acknowledge The Anfield is a theatre, and the whole thing's a performance.
Yeah, but they're doing what he's wanting them to do, so that's why he's not screaming at them.
Yeah, but what he's doing is not working.
No, I know
That's
that.
the point.
What I'm
That's the
saying
point.
is he can't very well start like screaming at them, going, "Move it quicker," and they'd be looking at him.
No, I
going,
suppose,
"Look,
no,
this
you're
is-
right.
We're doing what you fucking want
You're
us
right.
to
I
do."
suppose what I'm saying is that he needs to acknowledge that what he's doing is absolutely broken. What I'm finding most frustrating is he's not changing anything.
He won't. He's not going
So,
to.
And hence he's damned.
a question for you then, for either one of you. So if this is what he wants, if you suppose that this is the style of football that he wants, and he's stood on that touchline watching us not create many chances, not lose 10 out of 14 games in all competitions, what's he thinking? Is he thinking like, this is going wrong, I need to change this, or this is fine, there's only a couple of problems and it's not a big, I don't
The
understand how
latter,
he can.
because he's talking about XG, and again we had a higher XG last night than Sunderland. So from that point of view, he will be saying
He's lost it, I think.
he will
Can't see the
be
wood for the
saying
trees.
this isn't as bad as it looks, and over a period of time that levels off, and we'd be getting more wins, which is probably true, but it doesn't really change anything, does it? You know, this style of play. No, even if we were scraping wins with this style of play, it's still shit. Whichever way you look at it, it's not how I want us to play. It's not how the
That
players want to play.
data-orientated approach is very consistent with modern coaching, isn't it? But it denies the absolute fundamental truth of how emotional Liverpool Football Club is. Mm-hmm. You cannot, if you don't see that Liverpool, for better or worse, and it's mostly better by far in our history, is emotional, and that emotions are a fundamental aspect of who we are, then you will never fit. You will never get it. You can't be Roy Hodgson and stand there and say, I thought we played well against United when we lost. You know what I mean? Oh, no, sorry, I thought United played well when we lost to them. You know, you can't get there. You can't be there and just say things which are contrary to what everybody is thinking. If you think, as manager, that the way you are playing and the way you are saving things up and your responses about XG are going to look anything other than ridiculous and unpalatable, then you're clueless. You're absolutely clueless. The human element is key. If you can't look at the body language of the players and realise that you need to do something to inspire them as human beings rather than just talk about XG and chances, you're clueless. In many ways at Liverpool, you're not really a coach. Obviously you need to coach to get there. You are a leader. It's leadership. It's communication. It's human beings. It's relationships. Those are the key fundamental issues. You can employ all the data people you want, all the tacticians that you want, all the coaches that you want. The bottom line is you've got to get these elite individuals to come together as a team, believe in what you're saying and deliver it week after week after week while under the most intense scrutiny and pressure. If you don't recognise that, you will never do the business.
But coming back on that, he did that last year, so did Virgil, and that just tells me they're peacetime leaders, they're not wartime leaders. Like Klopp and Henderson were wartime leaders as well as peacetime, but like, you know, if things aren't going well, you know they're going to get you through it. I'm not seeing that. It also applies to Virgil as well, because I don't think his leadership's helpful at the moment, and his own form has gone to shit as well.
Yeah. I think it's slightly harsh, but I can't deny what you're saying.
Peacetime leaders, that's what they are, and you know that's not like a damning insult. It's just, you know, it is what it is. I don't think like that they are particularly good in a crisis. Virgil, I mean, the Dutch have been on at Virgil's leadership for ages, and I've always just said, no, you're talking shite. But then that's based on what I'm watching for Liverpool. I'm not watching Holland. So maybe like when Holland is struggling, maybe his leadership is a bit of an issue there, like their leadership style. He's not been particularly great leader for us this year, and he did call the players only meeting, and we did get a response for a couple of games where we beat Villa and we beat Real Madrid, and then it just went back to what it was before. So, and Virgil's form since then, it's almost like Virgil's just thrown his hands up and just gone, fuck this, I tried, because he looks as vulnerable as anybody at the moment. You know, he was not good last night. I mean, as part of the goal, poor.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's affected everybody. But like I said, going back to what I said earlier, I'm not looking at individuals and saying that they're the problem. Now, they're not. No, it's not. They're all, other than Dom, they're all pretty much struggling. You know, nobody's coming out of
Yeah.
this season with any credit in the bank other than Dom.
And Dom wasn't great last night either, was
No,
he?
and you know, part of the thing with Dom, and this is not taking anything away from his performances, which have been really good. I think it's a little bit easier for him to stand out, where we'll say, oh, you know, at least Dom's having a go because of his style. You know, his all action, constantly running.
Yeah.
You'll always look at Dom and go, oh well, at least he's had a go. Whereas other players who haven't got that like energetic style, all you're getting from them is just below par performances. Whereas Dom can kind of lift himself out of a below par performance by his running, which I think last night, because I think he was probably, overall, I'd say he was still our best player last night, but he was no better than like 7 out of 10 at most. But that was still enough to be our best player, I thought, other than Chiesa, who we will get to. In fact, you know what? Let's just do that now. Let's just talk about Chiesa on that. Like,
Go on, Jules, he's your boy, get in there.
You made the point
Yeah.
in the chat, Jill, so I was going to come to you with this. Like, the point that you made, I think, is absolutely spot on.
Agreed, totally agree.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think the exact words, what I said. 1 second. 1 sec. Man looks up thing on phone, because... I've said, this is what I put last night. I tell you what, Chiesa's a man of integrity. Slot's treated him like an absolute cunt, and he saves his ass on that clearance. He could well have chugged back and screwed him over. I stand by that. Like, Chiesa is on the halfway line. He sees the danger and he's turning and running before the ball is passed by the goalkeeper. Right, so just great situational awareness. Then he's not the fastest, but he's trying his absolute best to get back and keep with the player. The player gets a little bit away from him, but that's not enough. He still does just enough to put the player off. Like, because I think it was Sturridge in the post game was saying like, oh, Alisson's not done well enough to narrow the angle. And it's like, listen, mate, you can say what you like about Alisson's hamstrings, but his one-on-one skills are unmatched. And if that's what he deemed the best thing to do, that's what he deemed the best thing to do. Because you know what? The guy didn't score, so Alisson did enough. But Chiesa did most of it. He put a hand on him. He didn't do enough to bring him down. He just a little hand on him and a little nudge to put the player off balance. So he has to go a bit further around Alisson, and then he runs past him and he gets it off the line. And then not only that, he clears it. He gets it back to Alisson. He just turns and starts running back up, but not before he G's up the Anfield Road end as he's running back. That, right, if you could bottle that and sell it, you would make millions, right? He has no right to give that much when Slot has, especially last season, treated him so poorly, treated him like a joke. Like we said last year, he was treated like a competition winner who got a chance to play with the team. Like an absolute jabroni, not a player who has won, who was key in winning the European Championships for Italy, who has played for Italy's top clubs. Whatever you think of the speed and quality of Serie A, it's still like it's not easy to play over there. Like it's not not everyone can do it. And he was treated like an absolute prick. And this season, he's come on and saved Slot multiple times with goals. And still, last night, again, just that should have been... Like, Carragher on commentary was just, again, not the most professional. I'm not a fan of this modern style of commentary where he was like, oh, no, like that. Like, if I'm a Sunderland fan watching that, I'd be furious that the co-commentator's giving that sort of feedback. I want analysis on the game. I don't want your absolute... No knock on Carragher himself, but, like, he shouldn't be doing Liverpool games if he's going to react when we're 1-1 at home and opposition players running through. That's not what I want to see. And it's not the correct way of broadcasting sport, unfortunately. But like his reaction told it all. This players running through is like, oh no, this is a problem. But no, Fede comes back and saves the day. What a man of absolute unimpeachable integrity. Whatever you think about him as a player, and I actually like, he's one of my favourite players in the squad. I said this last night, and Paul was like, it's damning that you think that. Like, no knock on Fede, and I understand why he says that. But like, of the players in the squad, I think Alisson, Robbo, and Fede, they're my top three, because they are three players of unimpeachable character. I do not doubt their commitment and their effort level at any point. That's not to say I doubt some of the other players, but their enthusiasm, like in terms of Robbo, it's his enthusiasm for it. Fede, it's his enthusiasm. For Alisson, Again, he's the best goalkeeper in the world. He's the best goalkeeper we've ever had. We'll never get a better goalkeeper than him, and I cherish every moment that he's at the club. Hamstrings or not, I absolutely cherish the moments he's at the club, because at some point we're going to go back to just having a good goalkeeper, or a goalkeeper that you're not sure they're going to save a shot bobbling along the ground. It's just, honestly, what a guy Fede is. What a guy.
I just find it incredible that somebody who has got the minor role that he's got and the reputation that he had prior to coming here, you know, he's not some player who's like, he's not who's the lad we got from Preston, Ben Davis. He's not Ben Davis, who should, or Freddie Woodman coming in going, fucking hell, you know, I'm lucky to be here, I'm just going to enjoy every moment. That's not who he is, you know. He's like a top player. He was one of like the most highly rated forwards in the whole of Europe a few years ago, and he's been treated like just, and we don't know the ins and outs of it, why he doesn't start. I'm sure fitness is a thing, because he's not playing for Italy either by his own choice. He's saying to them, I'm not physically ready, so I get all that, but at the same time, he could have played more minutes than he's played. I don't think anyone would dispute that. He definitely could have played more. And he's not let it affect him. It's like any time he gets on the pitch, he plays the game like it's his last game. And he's an absolute marvel. I cannot get over the mentality of that man. Because I'm telling you now, in his shoes last night, I'm not busting a gut to get back. I'll tell you that now. Now, that probably says a lot about my integrity, but I would not have done what Chiesa's done. I would have just thought, fuck you. You know, that you're getting what's coming to you here.
It's
because footballers think like that. Footballers are selfish by nature.
He's turning down playing for Italy. Like we've said this before, he's turning down playing for Italy because he doesn't feel like he wants to give his all. Like he wants to get himself fit and give his all for Liverpool as well. You know, there's a minor bit in The Sopranos where like Paulie complains to Tony about Ralphie screwing him over by leaving little Paulie out of a job. And he's like, you left little Paulie standing there for hours on his own, made him look like an asshole. And I think that's what you do. That's what Slot does to Chiesa. He's like, he's making little Paulie look like an asshole. It's like, there's no need. He's there, he's willing to do the job. He's like, he's a stand-up guy. He'll do the job you need him to. But yet somehow you're cutting him out and treating him like a prick. And again, Lister, not so much. He's come on and he's given vital contributions. He should have had one against Palace, but we fucked that up. And had Sunderland scored that, if we were sitting here today, would our conversation really change that much if it was a 2-1 defeat as opposed to a 1-1?
Other people's might.
Do you know that little Paulie analogy there, Jules? What's so worrying for me? We've not mentioned it this pod. We've mentioned it loads of pods previously. He treats so many of them like little Paulie, and then expects them to deliver when they come in. It's just to ignore the human elements, that human beings have a personal pride, they have egos. Let's not pretend otherwise. Of course they have egos, but but also they play in a team sport and they want to feel part of something. Well, and if you don't make them feel part of something, then it's your loss, because you're gonna need them.
Yeah.
Well, this is what Dave says when he says that Slot's like not a wartime consigliere. He's not, because we had him, aside from the absolute crisis that the team finds itself in now, we had a major crisis in the summer. And this is no knock on Slot, the man, because that's so difficult. I can't criticize anybody in that position. And I think he spoke really well about the loss of Jota in the summer.
Yeah.
But I wonder, behind the scenes, is he the sort of guy? And again, people should not take this as me criticize him if he doesn't, because it's not for everybody, and everybody's got a different style. But is he the guy? Because you've just alluded to there in his treatment of players who aren't playing, who can keep a player involved, who can put an arm round the shoulder, who can big up and G up a player, make them 10 feet tall. I don't think he is, and I wonder with the way he treats the squad, last season and going into this season, your Joe Gomez, for example, adding on top that you sort of have this major tragedy that players, grief affects everybody so differently. It's impossible to say what has happened. And again, the malaise Liverpool find themselves in is not is not rooted in what's happened in the summer, because the style of play was happening last season, and all we're seeing this year is an evolution of that style of play. So it's not like it wasn't on the cards or anything. But I do wonder, like, is he able to like pinpoint if a player is struggling with it and have that conversation?
He sees himself as a coach, not a leader. He doesn't see himself as a leader. He sees himself as a coach.
But I want to make it really
not someone
clear.
else's job.
I'm not knocking him for that. If that's not his style, that's not his style. It's not. It's.
But it's not right for Liverpool, though, is it? It's not right for Liverpool.
I mean, again,
Liverpool needs a leader.
So it's such an outlier that I find it difficult. It's such a tough position to be put in. But now here we are in the middle of this crisis, and it's like, have you got like a third of the squad isolated because of how your style is and how you've chosen to act and treat them day to day? And he probably sees nothing wrong with it. He sees it as, well, you know my plans, so why get involved with you? And like, I really don't like it when people, and I say people, I mean Liverpool fans, let's be honest, allude to stuff from the 70s and go, well, in the 70s Paisley would say this, if it was good. And it was 50 years ago. Like, the world has changed, sometimes not for the better, but it's changed. And like, they'll go, well, if a player was injured, Shankly would ignore them and wouldn't give them the time of day because they were no good to him. It's like, all right, that's fine in 1960s when players would eat steak after a dinner and get on the bus with the fans to get to the game or whatever, and you could like meet, the conditioning and the style and the size of football was a completely different thing. Like, it was big, but it's not what it is now. It's like the money riding on it now. It makes it a completely different beast. Yeah. So I hate it when people compare eras. It's not good. In the modern era, I feel like you have to like bring everyone along with you in these, because the squads are so large. Substitutions are a thing that happens. Like back then, you couldn't sub a player. Like now you can. You can make 5 of the fuckers. So you have to keep the 25-man squad involved at all times. Make them feel like they are part of your plans, of part of the journey, the progress that you're making. And it just feels like too often the players on the fringes are discarded. Like Elliott, Harvey Elliott has made many contributions to Liverpool over the years. He would still be a key contributor from the sidelines, and he would be happy to do so. But to give him 5 minutes or not to play him at all, you're going to feel disenfranchised. I don't see how you cannot. I don't know. Only Chiesa, again, if you could bottle what he had and give it to the players, then maybe
it's not normal.
Yeah, it's not.
He is not normal. Most players do not react the way Chiesa does. On Harvey as well, though. What also makes it worse is Harvey then has to listen to Slot going into press conferences talking about, I should have played him more. He's really unfortunate. He deserved more playing time and he didn't get it. It's like, well,
only one person in control of that.
Exactly.
He always does that though, doesn't he? He always talks about how talks about the problems really well, but the solutions bear absolutely no resemblance to that acknowledgement of what the issue is.
I'm not sure if being able to identify the problem but solve it is actually that good. I would rather him I don't know. I've got to be honest, I don't know. But Slot often sits there and identifies the problems and go, oh, you can see it, okay.
Yeah, it drives me crazy. Happens. It makes me really furious.
I thought you could see it. I don't understand. If you can see it, what's happening?
I wrote
Why aren't they doing anything about it?
Last week at some point, I don't know, it might have been in the diary, and I wrote this. I say to myself, he's not turning this around. There's nothing that he can do to fix this. It's like it's terrible. Then I'll watch him in a press conference, and he'll have me slightly second guessing myself, because I'll go, you know what, that's right, yeah, he's spot on there, yeah, that makes sense. And then you think, you know what, maybe he does know what the plan is. Maybe he does know how to fix it. And then the game comes around, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter what he said in the press conference. What I'm seeing with my eyes, this is not getting turned around. But he does when he talks, he makes sense. He doesn't come across like a dickhead, and that's probably a main reason why I'm not hostile towards him, even though I've got zero faith that he's going to turn this around. And I said, I don't know how long ago it was a while, and Chris said to me, do you think he'll be in charge this time next year? And I said, no, I don't. And I don't see any way that he's still.
So when do you think they should act, Dave? Because I think no.
I don't know, because to do what? Unless there's like a viable option for them to do something.
Right, that's unknowable, isn't it? That's unknowable. That's almost like you're. It's above my pay grade to know who the players are out there to go and get. We just need to go and get a player.
Yeah, it is.
For me, I cannot see anything is going to get better or even stay the same, because this bandwagon is rolling and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is Liverpool. We're not just going to bimble along. It's going to get worse.
But also, they are very much not reactionary. They will. I said weeks ago, they will act long after the fans have already decided.
But
they'll be the last ones to do it.
What would you do?
Without like a viable option to get somebody in tomorrow. Like, put it this way: if they sacked him right now, while we're doing this pod, if news comes through that he's been sacked, you're not going to get me like saying, "Oh, that's the wrong thing to do" or anything like that. No, it's fully warranted if it was to happen. It won't happen because the big problem is nobody from his backroom staff's going to come in. You know, it's not one of those situations where you go, okay, get rid of the manager and we can promote someone, let him be in charge on like a temporary basis. All these no-names who he's got on his coaching staff, none of them are worthy of coming in and taking over. So that's one option gone. So what are your options? Unless they know who because I'm sure for weeks they've been planning for the contingency that they have to do something.
Yeah.
So they will have been doing due diligence on managers. Maybe they found somebody who they look at as like the long-term successor. If that's the case, then fine, do it. If they know they can get the person they want to come in now, then do it. But if that option's not there, then that only leaves you with another option, which is someone in as a caretaker.
I agree with that. I have to say though,
that's not a solution for me.
I think now is the best time to do it for a new manager coming in if they think they've got a long-term solution, because you can only improve these players.
But what if they haven't though? That's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you. If they know who they want to come in and they know they can get him now, then that's fine. Well,
I think there's two elements to it. So they'll have identified somebody, but what they'll be looking for is...
What if it's Tuchel or Nagelsmann and they're not available till the summer? What if that's who they've identified as either Thomas Tuchel or Nagelsmann? I'm not saying it is, but what if it is?
I suppose in that case then, well, first of all, I'd be thinking, really? But second of all, I'd be thinking, you're not looking cold-eyed enough at what's happening if you think this can limp on to the end of the season. Because Champions League is 1.5 feet out the door already. I don't think we're going to be in the Champions League next season with this manager in charge. Absolutely no way. And that's a disastrous for the financial model, which I'm all about. I love our financial model, the fact that it's self-sustaining. I always have, and I always will. I want it to be that way. But we need Champions League money for that to be sustained and to continue. So if they're looking at a manager who is absolutely not available under no circumstances until next summer, I would say that's a flaw in their thinking. I think they need to be looking at a manager that they could pay a fee to get out of a club. And if they don't have an idea of who that is, then again, they're not doing their job. Maybe they could persuade Klopp to be a caretaker for the rest of the season. I don't really think that's ideal. And I don't really think it's particularly likely either. But all I would say is that this is exactly what their job is to be. This is the very definition of what a sporting director and his boss Michael Edwards. That's what the role is for. Is to be on top of the medium and long term health of the club, not the short term results of the team. So if they're not doing this, that's the very fundamentals of their job. They must know. They must have a list going back to when they appointed Slot, and they'll have continued to monitor those people.
I tell you, I don't envy their position here. I don't think unless it gets spectacularly bad and we're flirting around the relegation zone, which is not beyond the realms of. You can't rule it out anymore, unfortunately, because again, only won 4 out of 14 games. Unless we're floating around the relegation zone, they will let this play out for as long as possible, which I think will be once Champions League becomes impossible for qualification next year, or we're knocked out of the Champions League. So knocked out of the Champions League this year will be step one, and then if you can't qualify for next year, that'll be step 2, and that'll probably be it. I don't think there are I said this when Klopp said he was leaving, and I still stand by it. There aren't that like the world of managers in Europe has changed dramatically. There aren't big beasts of managers anymore that you could like back in the early 2000s. People would be saying Sven, Mourinho, people like that. These managers that were winning trophies all around Europe. Like the last of them is Ancelotti, who's now managing Brazil, and he's like getting on anyway. And he didn't like his time on Merseyside last time, so I don't know if he'd like it this time. But like the I don't know what I don't know what the solution is, and I think every manager that they put in or that is the linked with the job is now a huge gamble. I don't think there's any slam dunks. Klopp was a slam dunk, a home run, whatever you want to call it. There aren't any out there. I personally think that that's how it'll play out. I think that'll just be it'll limp on. It will limp on like this until it becomes absolutely untenable, unless a standout candidate suddenly becomes available and wants the job, and in which case you might find the trigger is pulled. Now, a lot of speculation is that like Real Madrid players aren't getting on with Alonso, and maybe like at some point he will be relieved of his duties there. Should that weird scenario come up and Alonso is available, for example, because they were obviously interested in giving him the job, and it was obvious that he wanted to go to Real Madrid, and so he ruled himself out and stayed at Leverkusen for a year. That was all very obvious at the time, and it's proven to be what's happened. But should he be available, and this is still going on, unless Alonso goes, I'll come in, but I'm not coming into the summer because I've seen what happened with Amorim, and this has been a testing time for me in Real Madrid, and I just need to take stock of where it went wrong so I don't come into this job wrong-headed.
I mean, I think I agree with that, Jules. I mean, I think that the other name I throw in there, which I think is totally unrealistic, but who is a big beast, and I think he'd be brilliant, is Luis Enrique, But I don't think there's any hope of getting that, really. No. In terms of... The only thing I would say is I think, I'm sure probably you'll both be right, but all I'd say is we need to reconcile ourselves to the fact that the new manager will be coming in without Champions League football next season, and that will have a knock-on effect on transfer plans. I just think that's a worry.
In theory, there shouldn't need to be a lot of transfers in the summer. Like if McAllister leaves, he'll be leaving for is he not? Is his contract up this season? It's not, so he'll leave for a fee. No. So he'll get a fee. I'm sure
Robbo and Ibu out of contract at the end of the year.
I think that's Robbo is like is a managed progression. So as much as I would still like to see him at the club, it wouldn't surprise me if the plan is always like, okay, well, this will be his last year and then he leaves. But I would give him a 1-year extension. But again, that's not major surgery. His replacement is in theory already in the team and in the squad, so it doesn't matter. Konate is the only one. Konate is the one that like you're going to have to replace. You are going to need to find someone.
Gomez will go, surely.
Yeah, again, but Gomez is playing now. But again, in theory, his replacements, you should already have them lined up because you might need 2 centre-backs, one for Konate, and then a utility player maybe to play right back and cover for Gomez and centre-back. The only one I would say that probably maybe is stark is that the Diaz position, which wasn't filled, and you maybe need somebody out there. So I don't think major transfer plans are that important in the summer in terms of they've already spent a lot of the money. They've already made the transitions, and they'll get money from McAllister should they want to buy his replacement. I think there is a very good chance that we won't be in the Champions League. The league is quite bunched up though at the moment around that area, so it's still possible. But again, the longer this weird run of 4-14 goes on, the worse it's going to get, the further away it will be.
Yeah, boys, hand on heart, right now, can you see us qualifying for the Champions League next season? Because I can't.
Yeah.
You can.
There's 5 places, and I don't think... I'm looking at teams like Brighton and Villa and all these teams. There's nothing for me to think... I mean, we're not that far off it, as shit as we are. We're not that far off it. So you just get like a half-decent run together, and you can still get 5th. But that doesn't change anything for me. It's about like how we look. If the style of play doesn't change, I don't care if we get 5th. That wouldn't change anything for me. But yeah,
I'd just quickly say I think teams who I think are unequivocally better equipped to finish top 5 above us this season: Arsenal, City, Villa, Chelsea, Palace. There's 5.
Well, I mean, like Chelsea
think
just got beaten at Leeds. Like Chelsea are erratic. They're better than us.
Yeah,
at
but
the
they'll
moment,
finish
but
top
they are
5,
erratic.
Jules. They'll finish top 5, and I don't think we will.
Yeah, I
There's
could.
no way
United-
we're not going to finish above Palace.
United win their game in hand, they go above us.
I know it,
Yeah,
it
again,
looks like that
it-
now, but I'm saying it's not going to stay this bad. That's not me giving any
I
vote
think-
of confidence or anything.
I
Absolutely
think
not.
it is. I
But
think it is.
won't stay
I think
this
we're gonna,
bad.
I reckon we're going to get beat on Saturday.
I wouldn't rule
Well,
that out at all.
so do I. But like,
It's
I mean,
crisis. It's just an absolute shit show.
yeah, it is weird that CP. I think like the league win is armor for Slot, and like okay, it should be. You won the Premier League. It's not easy to do, but like, had we finished second last year, and this was happening, I think the alarm bells would be a lot louder in more areas than they are. Like currently, sort of like it is sort of like a collective shrug from the wider world of like, oh they've won so few games, they're languishing here, they can't, it doesn't seem to be the major crisis outside of the club that like you're saying now inside like ball. I don't think, and I want that's part of that's because we won the league and he's a league winning manager, so there has to be a belief that you won the league, you can turn this around. Unfortunately, I've many years of experience has told us that once it's gone, it's gone. You can't turn it around. It's just not possible. And because the old adage, you can't get rid of all the players. You have to get rid of the quickest and cheapest solution, which is the manager, which is why it's not going to be turned around by him. It's sad to say, but it is where it is at the moment.
It is sad. You're right. It is sad. It's the whole thing is like is just a crying shame, really. But there's no denying it. It's just a mess, and he's done. He's done.
Brownie wants him removed from the banner, doesn't he?
Sorry.
Yeah, well, Brownie will be on soon because he's got a lot to say.
Removed from the banner.
I'm saying this after a draw as well. Like we didn't lose, but like a draw feels like a defeat.
Though, wasn't it? The performance was terrible.
And look, I'm not going to be like an early 2000s Arsenal fan when I demand entertaining attacking football as standard, but like again, like the east to west analogy, which Dave will know where it comes from. It comes from the NFL for running backs. Like you don't want a running back that runs east to west because no, you're not making any yardage, you're not gaining any ground. You've got to go north to south. You've got to run forward because if that's how you make gains in the NFL. But the analogy does work for clubs football because there is too much of foot on the ball, have a look up, pass to the left, put it out wide. Oh, no, being closed down because the ball, like I said last night in the chat, like it's an old adage of football. No player on the pitch moves faster than the ball. The ball is the fastest moving thing on the pitch. So if it's slow, zip the passes about. The players move to create space and the ball is zipped around to make the spaces wider. Create that space. It doesn't, however, the space is gone and it is easily closed down if your passing is so slow. Yeah. If it is death to put your foot on the ball, have a look up and look around.
2-3 touches every time from every player as well.
And to move it from east to west so slowly is the problem. Moving it, like shuffling along the line, is not inherently a problem east to west if you're moving it fast. But if you're moving it slowly like a freight train, pulling out of a station or pulling past a level crossing, that's the problem. It's like there's no momentum in it. It's too slow. And
those trips and Robbo passes seem a long time ago, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Fullback to fullback passes.
Even Virgil to Mo, where's that gone?
Yeah.
But the jet power racing snakes are gone because there's no pace in the team anymore in terms of players running and fast dribbling with the ball. And when they do break, there's indecision now, and that's a killer as well. There's so much indecision. Yeah. There's no. It's anti-risk football. It's all safe. And players now doubting their ability. Whereas, like Dave said earlier, Mo, what was it, Paul? I can't remember. One of you said like Mo like thrived off the popping it into to Mane and Bobby, like the interchanges. Now there's none of that because it's so safe. It's so risk averse. It's slow, and it's like I'm on the edge of the area and I'm looking and I'm surveying and I'm going. And my body's going, it's going left, and then it's, I'm going right, and I'm still not doing anything. The ball is still at my feet, and that is slow football. That is anti-risk football.
So just 2 points on that. Firstly, about the moving the ball quickly and stuff. There was times last night, and I said to John, I was watching it, and I seen it. It just kept happening, and I said to John, I was like, just watch Verts. Don't watch the ball or anything. Just watch Verts. And his movement, he's constantly moving into little pockets, and he puts both of his hands down like to say, give me the ball, and he was doing it constantly, and the ball never came. And Robbo was the biggest culprit, which is surprising because Robbo's one of the better progressive passers in the team. You know, his numbers back that up. He will play that forward ball, but whether they're just scared to lose the ball, or whether it's just a confidence thing, that I don't know. But Vert is in pockets of space. But if the ball doesn't come when he's in that pocket of space, it's closed down and then you can't play it. And it was happening all throughout the first half.
Fear, Dave, isn't it?
And
Fear's taking a grip.
Yeah, but it's also like, is this safety first thing? Is it like, I don't want to play it forward in case we lose it because the boss is saying, don't force it, because that was...
I think it was
he
that,
said
and now
that
it's become fair.
From day one. He was joking about Trent, wasn't he, with like, it's a great pass, but it's risky, and sometimes I want him to maybe not do that. So it's a big thing for him is don't give the ball away, be patient, and it's too much. So it's like we just got the whole east to west thing. But on the NFL running back east to west thing, well, I'm seeing that like now, like DeAndre Swift from the Bears would run sideways last year, sideways, and then get tackled for like no gain or a loss. And the reason why that happens is because there's no holes to run into. So running backs are like they're waiting, they're like looking, where can it go? Nowhere. You're tackled. You've lost it. Now there's holes everywhere because of the coaching. So like the running backs for the Bears now, they get it and they just run downhill all the time because the holes are there, because the coaches have come in and they've coached the team up to create that space. So there's a similarity between that and with football. So like our players are not really playing the ball into those spaces because the spaces aren't there, because it's the coaching, the whole setup of how we play. We're not creating space for the players who you want to get on the ball. So Isak's never getting the ball. He's never getting a pass because it's too bunched up where he is, and Verts is not able to get on the ball, and it's all to do with like how they're coached, and it's too like orientated on keeping the ball at all costs. And John kept saying last night, in the second half especially, like when the crowds are getting a bit agitated if a Sunderland player went down and wants the physio on or whatever, and like people are kicking off, and John's like, I haven't got it in me to get riled up about them time wasting when we're wasting so much time ourselves. He said, like, we've been wasting time since the game started by just passing it and going nowhere. It's like it's a different type of time wasting. And there was spells in the second half where they were sitting deep and we had the ball and we just passed it like from one side of the box to the other side, back across, and we'd have the ball for about 2 minutes, and then eventually that can't go on, so somebody will have to either try a shot or they try to play like a through ball and it runs out for a goal kick, and John will be like, we've just wasted 2 minutes there just doing nothing. 2 minutes have gone off the clock and then we've just given them the ball back. And that kept happening. And it's all to do with just like the players on the ball are like looking, and it's like, where are we supposed to go? Don't want to try anything risky because we're not, that's not how we play. We'll keep it. We'll go back that way. We'll go back this way. Hope something opens up, and it just doesn't. Like Sunderland were just sitting in there going, "That's fine. You have it. You're not going to get a shot in. You're not going to do anything here." How many saves did the keeper make?
Yeah.
Can you think of any?
No. What's that saying about the definition of madness, where you keep doing the same things and expect a different outcome? I mean, that's what Slot is now. It's just doing the same things all the time and expecting a different outcome. It's not going to come.
But sometimes you will get a different outcome. That's what I'm
not
saying.
Not after this length of time, Dave.
No.
I'm like West Ham.
What I'm saying, what I'm saying is you will get a different outcome sometimes, because even in all of these games, as shit as they've been, you can put it down to, well, if that goes our way and that one didn't, then it's a different result. And it is. And it doesn't change whether the performance is any better or not. It's not. It's still the same shit performance. But there's fine margins at either end. Sometimes they go for you, sometimes they don't. So therefore, results will be different. You're not always going to have like a draw or a defeat. Some of those will go your way. At the start of the season, they went our way. We got the late goals and we won the games. Then we started conceding late. But essentially, it's all like every game's on a knife edge like that, except for when we're getting battered by Forest. But those games have like been on a knife edge, haven't they?
See, I think that makes sense until pressure comes to bear and the human element kicks in. So these players now, they know they're absolutely mired in a crisis. They know they are. So that's why they make poor decisions. That's why the bottle goes for Robbo to fizz a pass into Wirtz. The things that you'd expect players to do, they don't make the decisions that you'd expect them to make based on their track record and their quality, because they're under this overwhelming blanket of pressure and fear where they know that it's an absolute shit show. And we're at that point. That is what they're playing in. So it doesn't matter how you coach them. It doesn't matter how you ask them to play. It's gone beyond that. It's about the human beings on the pitch. And I just think that's broken. That's not coming back.
But it's also the tactics that encourage that. So
yeah, it's gone beyond that though, Dave. I think that's led to this point. But now it's about the human beings are just they don't believe in what he's asking them to do. And they're afraid of the consequences. They're sick of losing. These are born winners. They're losing more than they're winning.
But don't forget there was a time when we played. It was almost a good thing when we lost the ball. It was almost encouraged that we lose the ball, because as soon as we lost it, we just fucking dived on them and won it back, and we were higher up the pitch and we lost it. So that was like the whole ethos was like, play it forward. Don't worry about it, like whether it's a risky pass or not. Play it forward, and if we lose it, everyone goes and wins it back, and we've gained 30 yards up the pitch anyway from that. So, but now that's not the case. It's like if we lose it, there's no press to go and win it back. It's like we lose it and then everyone just drops back into shape. Or we try and press and it's so half-assed and not coordinated anymore that they just play through us anyway. So it's everything. It's like, it's the tactics are feeding into the lack of confidence and stuff, and then the lack of confidence in how we're playing is making the tactics look worse. But ultimately, every single issue that you can point out, and there are so many of them, it always traces back to the manager. That's football. Yeah. It's like whatever it is, ultimately the manager bears responsibility for everything. That's the nature of the beast. It's like the manager's job is to deal with all of this stuff.
Yeah, even if you think the wrong players, the players don't suit the way he wants to play, his job is still, as the first team coach, is to deal with the players that are bought for, and that is still his job. So even if you've got issues with the transfer policy, the transfers are the transfers. His job is to deal with the players he's given. He's not the first team manager, he's the first team coach. Now that's a decision the club has made. We may agree with it, we may disagree with it. But the bottom line is his job is to make those signings work. So it all...
And we don't make them signings, Paul, without him saying, yeah, I can make that work.
Absolutely.
If he says, look, there's no way I can get Wirtz into the team and play the way I want to play, I can't do it, they're not going to sign him, regardless of like what an opportunity it is. They only make those deals if Slot says, yeah, I can make that work. He was the one who gave the big talk to Wirtz about like building the team around him and making it work. So
just how big was that talk?
Oh God! And what the hell was Wirtz thinking now?
Fucking hell.
Wirtz must be just like thinking back to that conversation and going, what the fuck? Absolutely none of that has transpired.
Who was that fella who spoke to me in the summer who said his name was Arne Slot? Was it like a radio show phone-in hoax? Tommy Gravison in disguise.
Oh God. Is there anything else from this, or should we move on to Leeds?
Let's move on to Leeds.
So I'm not expecting much in the way of changes. I think Kirkes comes back in, and maybe Ekitike for Isak, because Isak played like 85 minutes or something last night, didn't he? 80. Played a long time anyway, so he may well be. You got to be careful with him as well. So I think it's fair enough if he does sit that one out, but don't think there'll be too many other changes. I think Bradley's back in the squad. He's been training, and Slot did say the other day he expects him back for Leeds, but not to start. But maybe you start Gomez again, and then after an hour, you can bring Bradley on maybe. So yeah, we might see a few changes, but I think we've got our hands full.
Yeah.
They're not good, but they're not easy to play against because they fucking
5:30 kickoff at Ellen Road on a Saturday.
Yeah.
They've just beaten Chelsea, who, don't forget, they hate Chelsea.
Yeah.
They've got that weird old rivalry.
I tell you what, they beat them up as well.
Yeah.
Physical, they're really good on set pieces. They're a real threat in around the penalty area, in the air and on the ground. They looked like really threatening.
Like, am I saying pound for pound, play for play, they're better than us? No, obviously not. They're not. However, their direction of travel and their commitment to their style of play and manager is much higher than ours at the moment, and therein lies our problem. They are committed to what they're doing. They're
They'll run and
committed
they'll
to
fight.
Yeah.
yeah. And I like it's now reached the point where I would actually be surprised if we won.
Yeah. Same.
And that's the most damning thing. Where I'm like, "Ooh, if we won," and I don't think if we won we'd beat them well either. It would just be like a higgledy-piggledy sort of performance where you sort of like they maybe not at it, and they don't take chances and we take one. But I just again we don't create. I've said this all season. We don't create like chances. We don't pepper goalkeepers. We don't like force teams back and like make it like the Alamo. We just don't play like that. So it's really frustrating to see. Like when they say the XG, and I'm like, right, okay.
We've created more. Well, up until a couple of weeks ago, we created the most big chances in the league, and that blows my mind.
Blows my mind. The eye
Well,
test is
therein
not
lies
matching
the
the
flaw
stats.
with stats in isolation from the context.
Because it does
Yeah.
not feel like that, and I think it's skewed to some degree as well because of those late in games when you're chasing it and you have those moments. I'd like to see chances created in the first half. That would be interesting because it just feels like most of our first halves are just non-events.
Yeah.
Even last year, it felt like that quite a lot. Like just the first half, you just like fucking hell, let's get to half time and you can fix
Didn't
it.
it feel a bit like that in Klopp's last year
It
as
did,
well?
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
We were not a
that-
first half team at all.
No, so there's something going on.
Are we doing teams? Shall
Go
I
on
tell you
then.
what
Go
I
on.
do? I go Allison, obviously Virgil, unfortunately Canate, because I don't think there's an alternative, because Joe Gomez will have to play right back. I'd have Joe Gomez in over Canate if we had a viable right back. And I'd probably play Kirkaz at left back. I'd play Endo, and I'd play Gravenberg, and I'd play Dom. I'd play Wirtz in front of those three, and I'd play Mo and Isaac up front, and I'd be asking the fullbacks to bomb on. I don't think there's a hope in hell of that happening. I don't think we'll get anywhere close to that. I think it'll just be more of the same. But I'd be trying to really get some semblance of width from the fullbacks and then build the team around Wirtz with some legs and some muscle in behind him, protect the centre halves, and try and play some intricate, fast stuff up front and pick the holes and pick the pockets of the Leeds defence to try and get in and score. So I think Mo and Isaac probably the two best finishers, the two most likely goal threats, and Wirtz to load the bullets for them, and then he needs some muscle behind him really to keep things tight at the back.
Well, Cody, son of Slot, did get subbed at half time last night, so possibility that he doesn't start.
Or he got
Yeah,
subbed
but
at half time, so he will start.
No, but for him to sub him at half time tells you he wasn't happy because he would
Yeah, maybe.
have made that change later on, like
Maybe.
an
Yeah,
hour.
he wouldn't be
65.
anywhere near the team on Saturday for me.
Jules,
I don't think it really matters. The faces might change, but the result will stay the same.
Yeah.
Maybe Mo comes back in. I don't know. I mean, it just feels like he's sort of grasping for a solution now. So, on the one hand, nothing much is changing, but then he drops Mo. So, like, that's like probably the biggest change you can make.
and has to change it at half time because it's not worked.
Yeah.
So that's
Like,
problematic as well.
Yeah, I think that again, like this is the thing I was saying earlier, like got the squad, things aren't going well, and yet not much is actually changing. Like there's not been the mad dramatic changes in terms of tactics or shape or anything like that. So I would expect. I mean, this will be the third game in 7 days. There should be changes. That's the other thing. They look gassed last night.
Yeah.
Large parts of it, they look knackered. There should be changes. Yeah, so I would say Kirkes should be coming in. Gomez will stay on the right. The two centre backs will stay the same. Alisson will stay. Gravenberg will play. Maybe Jones comes in for McAllister. Szoboszlai is like a machine, so he'll stay. And then again, I think Ekitike is woefully out of form. It's died down a little bit as his form's got worse, but like I don't want to hear any more people say, well, he hasn't.
Yeah,
He hasn't been good
totally
since he hasn't been good since before the clocks went back. He's not been good.
Not his fault,
maybe
like.
no, a lot of it's not any of these players' fault.
Yeah.
If you're in a broken system that's not working and you don't really know how to affect change, then yeah, what can you do? So I would say maybe Ekitike will start for Isak. I think Gakpo will start, and I think Wirtz will start. So I still think Mo will be left out.
I think Mo comes back in because he goes away, doesn't he, after that? So you might as well use him, I suppose.
Although to play devil's advocate, you could say if he's going away, you might as well prep for it now.
Well, I was in favour of doing that, and then you look at the first half last night, and not even so much just the performance, but the setup. It's not what I was expecting. I thought Gakpo would be narrower, like almost as it say, and he wasn't. He was back to playing on the left wing, just doing
bizarre, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The argument to play Mo is that if Gomez is at right back, then you're asking Joe Gomez to do way too much, and therefore Mo should come in. Now, if Frimpong ever, I mean, at the moment, Frimpong's like Marcus Aurelius' dream of Rome. It's a theory that exists, but it doesn't actually. It's never around. But like, if he was available, then maybe you could say, yeah, you're not playing Mo because you can use him on the right. But I think it's unfair to put Gomez in that situation. So I can always advocate for Mo because despite this season, he is Mo Salah and he demands respect. I don't blame him for a lot of what's gone on this season. Absolutely. As I say, I think to take him out of the team. Look, he's 33, 34. At some point, we are transitioning away, and it should start. But like, I also feel like he was taken out as if he was the problem, and he's not the problem. So, don't make Mo Salah look like an asshole on his way out. Like, no, don't do that. So
he's
I mean,
many problems, and he's
I
not.
think you can say he's one of many assholes.
No, I'm not saying that.
So can anyone predict a win? Because probably for the first time on the Liverpool Way pod, I can't. I'm not prepared to predict a defeat, but I have got a feeling that we might lose. But I'm gonna hope for gonna predict a draw as the best we can achieve. I can't see us winning there on Saturday. I'm not prepared to say that we'll lose. That's just not in me really. But it is a worry in the back of my mind. But I've got to hope that we can get a draw out of it. But all we'll be doing is prolonging the agony, in my view.
Even a win prolongs the agony because nothing's going to change. But like I say to you, we will get wins. There will be results that go our way, and there'll be some that don't. But none of it changes anything anyway. Anything could happen on Saturday. We might win, we might lose, we might draw. Nothing would surprise me.
A win would surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me, but it would be a scabby win. An impressive win would surprise me. That would massively surprise me. A scabby win wouldn't. Like a similar like West Ham type. Although Leeds will be
Leeds are far better than West Ham.
Yeah, they'll offer more resistance. It's not even about better, Paul. It's more about like easier to play against. You know what I mean? Like, West Ham will finish above Leeds, so in theory, West Ham are a better team. But who would you rather play against? You're going to play against West Ham all day, aren't you? So. Yeah, Leeds will be a tougher test than West Ham, but we could get a scabby win, we could get like a scabby defeat, or it could be a draw. I don't even care, it doesn't matter. Whatever the result is, it doesn't matter anymore.
Are you sure West Ham will finish above Leeds? They're currently below them.
I think they will.
The relegation spot.
Yeah, I think they will. We'll see.
West Ham will finish above Leeds?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, depends what
Leeds are in the bottom three.
Depends what they do in the transfer market because they haven't got very no players there, have they? They haven't got like the pace to break.
Well, they got Somerville, but he was injured against us. He's a good player, I like him.
Yeah, but they're going to need more pace to break and play Nuno's game, and at the moment they don't have that, do they? So until they fix that, they're going to be pretty abject, I think. I can't believe Paul's being pessimistic. Like I'm going for a 2-1 win. I don't know what he's on about. Can't be doing with the relentless pessimism.
Paul changes like the wind. Let's be honest, because like last week he's having a go at us because we said we'll beat PSV. Because it's almost like a different sport. And Paul says don't know where you're getting that from. What are you basing that on? There's absolutely nothing to suggest that we would have beaten PSV. I don't know where your confidence comes from. And then look in the chat last night, and I see Paul, like before kick-off, think we're going to play really well tonight. Based on what? Where did that come from?
To be fair, Dave, I've said that myself. I don't even know why I'm saying it.
It was FOMO, that's what that was.
Yeah, maybe.
Because you were sick and you weren't going, you thought this would be the game when they actually play.
And also I think the illness has clouded my fucking brain as well.
I thought it was the other way. I thought it was the comfort of a man who knew he didn't have to go out on a cold night and was sat off in a warm house with the telly on, going like, I think this will be all right tonight because I'm all right. Either way, yeah. I don't see us. The only thing I would say is like why we might get a result. My word is like Leeds were really up for last night. They tried really hard. They'll be buoyed by that, but also it does. They expended a lot of energy last night, and so that might be the only way. I mean, we didn't expend any energy, so maybe we were conserving it.
And they have got Calvert-Lewin up there who played well for them last night, but it's completely unreliable physically though. On Jules' point about that taking it out of them, he's not a fella for 2 games in 3-4 days.
No, but he turns into prime Drogba when he faces us.
Yeah.
His best games always come against us.
No, I'm worried about Saturday. I'm worried about it. I just can't bring myself to predict a defeat, but I am worried.
I saw your boy Indy is saying it's a make or break game on Saturday there, Paul.
Yeah.
Defend your boy.
Defend Indy. He gets 90% of what he said over the last 6 months has come true. He gets it before other people. He says it comes true.
I'm not buying that though, because I don't think he's got any sources in Boston.
Yeah, I must admit, that was one that made me think, maybe that's one of the 10%ers.
Would it not be a concern if we were playing like some fly-by-night shit? We're like, well, if this game doesn't go well, it's like this game is, as Dave said, it's an irrelevance, right? There's the wider pattern that's been going on for months. You either see it and you acknowledge it, or you don't. And one game doesn't make you suddenly like, I don't know, trying to think. The fucking Minister of Magic, when he fucking finally sees Voldemort, he's like, oh, he's back, even though it's been very obvious from.
Do you think this
is trying to think, back. And then you pluck that out? It's like
Harry Potter.
How does your brain work? You just got like a whole big filing cabinet of analogies.
Well, it's popular culture.
Like, I'm just trying to think, and then you quickly skim through. Yeah, that one will do. Voldemort. Yeah. Where did that come from?
Brilliant.
I'll tell you why. That always stands up because when I went to see it in the cinema way back when. And like Voldemort vanishes and the Minister for Magic sees him and he goes, he's back. Someone in the theatre went, way! Like, finally.
Do you know on that point though, Jules, you question why does one game become the one? I do want, and I agree, why that game. But one of the things I do wonder is, is there a possibility that they have got somebody in mind, but they then need to have a trigger point? They have to feel that something has to happen in order for them to then justifiably pull the trigger. They're not oblivious to the narrative around the club and carrying the fans with them, and they have to be thinking like a certain result. If that happens there, then we will then pull the trigger because then
like
we
when
to be doing it.
Hodgson lost to Blackburn.
It
was like, all right, that's enough. This can't carry on.
So effectively, they've made up their mind that they're going to end it, but they have to be. There's got to be something that lets them hang their hat on that.
A low point. Like you can't do it after beating West Ham. You probably can't do it after the draw with Sunderland. So like, if that is the thinking, they will be waiting for that moment when it's bad. Yeah. Don't forget, we've got to go away to Inter next week as well.
Oh, fuck.
And we got Brighton at home.
Yeah, Brighton at home, who we struggle to beat even when we're good. It's not a good clash of styles for us. But Brighton's always tough for us.
Do you feel confident about any game?
No,
I don't.
No. I wasn't that confident about West Ham. I thought like there was a good chance we'd get a result, but I wouldn't have been surprised if we'd have lost either.
No, same.
I don't see how you can feel confident about anything.
Isn't that damning when you consider that we're champions?
Yeah. Yep, it is. On that note,
let's wrap it up.
I think we're done.
Yeah.
So we'll be back after Leeds. We'll see what that game brings, I suppose. I'll try and get Brownie on that one. He's not been on for a while, and I know he's got things he wants to say. Okay then, so that'll do from us, and thanks for listening, and we'll catch you soon.